Hey everyone. I wanted to talk about some things that I've experienced recently, and I feel like it's something that I should be sharing. So, and if you resonate with this message, then you'd be seeing this video. So, um, maybe you resonated with it in the future, and the linear future or the non-linear. You know what I mean? um, Multidimensionality, shifting to the new Earth, 2019 January. What is it? Today's the 12th. Um, if you're sensitive, you've been feeling it since New Year's. Huge shift. 5D cosmic love on New Year's, amazing. I'm very sensitive to energy in general. I feel a lot of what's going on with myself and what's going on out there. Yeah, I think I wanted to talk about just some of my experiences, I guess, very recently. Some things too. First I recalibrated recently, so I'm connected to the universe, to the unified field. Terminology still, I don't know. There's a lot that I don't know, and that's fine. Yeah, but everything that I've seen now and experienced, it's like almost like maybe this message is important for someone else to hear as well, because I know I'm not the only person by far that's sensitive and that can see other dimensional entities or beings or energies or whatever. It's not something that happens often that I know of, but it's something that happens and definitely has happened. And it could even have something to do with. I have a feeling it has something to do with the maelstrom, with the connection through Moldavite. Because I started carrying some Moldavite with me a little while ago. It seems like telepathic connections can be established possibly through that medium. And since I've been recalibrated, maybe that just intensifies things or makes it easier. Plus the earth shift, like there's so much going on. I don't but being recalibrated all of a sudden like that is the hardest thing I never even thought anything this hard could possibly exist. This is something else. This is like every little thing is spotlighted. Every little thing that I perceive and that I know to be, an old energy that's not something to carry over into the shift, into the higher frequencies, right? So judgments and negativity of any kind is amplified. So for me, I feel the effects, 20-fold if I judge someone else, that's one of the biggest problems I have is I'm judgmental. So I'm learning. It's spotlighted, and I'm doing everything in my power to get better and better every day at becoming non-judgmental, tolerant, and accepting, charitable, and of liberality. So that's one thing. But I think, so for me, I guess I go off on tangents, but going up and down in the frequency spectrum. So that's something I feel definitely every day. I mean, I can shift up and down. That happens. That's just like, I feel like I'm just going through the dimensions, you know what I mean? And dropping down to a point, I feel like I can get down to a low point where it's like, oh, I fell into whatever. Like, I don't even know. I don't know if the shift is, it's begun, but I don't know like how. I think there's a time period of it, how everyone kind of, how it goes, but going down into that lowest part, wherever we're shifting out of, into that lowest frequency of 3D or whatever the right, I mean, that's a very strong sense of impending doom, and it's very obvious what's going on. Going into that low, that's not a place you want to be. So I think it's important to keep thoughts positive and stay on the highest frequency that you can, and do everything you can to raise your vibration. Don't dwell on sorrow, despair, fear. Those are the biggest things. Doubt, sorrow, and fear. Stay away from that as much as possible. Don't go into that. Those are old energies. We don't want to. And so just realizing that this is the first time this has ever happened to a planet shifting like we are dimensionally. I don't know if it has any, like all the ramifications of that or whatever, but I think it's also important to just share that encountering other non-terrestrial based multidimensional beings who are able to be here. However it's done. Obviously I have no idea how, but entities that are powerful and are able to just incarnate here somehow, dark. There's dark beings, and so I think somehow a telepathic connection was established with me between this being. Like I saw, I brought this up. I think it has something to do with the storm, connecting with the Moldavite to the storm, and then somehow maybe I attracted this telepath. Somehow a telepathic connection was established with me, and I saw it coming through dreams. There was someone in it, and these were not normal dreams. I've had a lot of experience dreaming, like keeping dream journals and having like dreams, and these were more like experiences. And then actually physically encountering this being as an incarnated person, as like somehow, like I said, I don't know how this works, but that's crazy, because like I can be flying high vibrations, and then just this is what happened. So they were waiting for me. Somehow they were waiting for me. They had my area located by however wherever where I live, and came home. I was actually doing really great. Like my vibrations are high, like high frequency, love and compassion, and like literally like Christ consciousness. Like everything is beautiful, like just so beautiful, right? nothing negative, nothing going on where I would have been like at a low point or anything like that. I was doing really good, just, and I walk in and to my building, my apartment, and there they are, like they're waiting for me, and it's in the middle of the day, no one else is around. It's very clear to me, and so words weren't exchanged, but this is a very obvious thing. It's not like, oh, this is just some person. It's not. It's not what it is. If you just know, like being intuitive and just knowing, like very obvious something, and getting a very, very deep sense of fear. I've lived through fear for a lot of my life, like up to age 30. I lived through panic attacks. I had my solar plexus chakra ruined, forget about it, for like impending states of doom. It was how I lived my life for many years, and I'm very familiar with what fear feels like. This was a whole nother world. This was my entire body, like this was, I don't know what this was. This was out of this world. It was intense. I had to leave. I think I lasted maybe 5 minutes here, and I had to leave. They were waiting out there again for me, of course, when I left, and creepy, whatever. Fucking, oh shit. Okay, yeah, and so I left. I got out of here. Drove 40 miles away. Went to the ocean, cleared my head, felt good, okay. Started driving back, maybe 30 miles out. And my intuition hit me, really strong sense of fear. So, but I'm like, I gotta go back home. I can't. What am I gonna do? So, so I went back home, and very strong sense of fear there. I could feel the room, like this was centered on my room. I was like, but I walked in, no actual physical sign of them, but that kind of looming sense of fear was still there. And I tried to sleep, and I ended up packing up and leaving the state that night. I think I laid in bed for a few hours, but I just couldn't do it anymore. I started freaking out, and I got out, spent a few days out of state, and out of state, it was something I couldn't get out of my head, and I had told a friend about it, and someone who's aware, and they let them know but then they came to me again because I couldn't stop thinking about them, and it was like, it's almost like I was drawn to them because of this telepathic connection we have through my dreams. It's like I couldn't stop thinking about them. It's like, why does my mind have to keep thinking about them? It's like, and I'm not really sure why it was such I was so drawn to keep thinking about them. It's almost like it was like some kind of connection. If it was, it could even be like a sexual type connection, because there was that kind of thing going on, like not, it was like not, I wasn't into it. It was weird. It's not even, it wasn't, I didn't want it, but it was like happening there. And yeah, and anyway, I think because of that, because I couldn't stop thinking about them, and they were just like, it manifested that, and they actually manifest because of that, and wow. So I mean, this is like stuff you see in Hollywood, right? This is this is movie. This is I mean, I think of this as like I'm living a book, like a fiction novel, like a literally like this is sci-fi come to reality. Um, they met, materialized or whatever. Um, it affected everyone in the house. It wasn't just me. Everyone was in bed. I was trying to fall asleep, not doing a very good job. But yeah, and then I got scared to death, and then just warding them off, like constantly warding them off. That was the thing. I was constantly warding them off, but it's like every time I ward them off, it's like I couldn't stop thinking about them. So it's like I ward them off, and I keep thinking about them. I keep drawing them back, and I couldn't. It was like I couldn't get it out of my head. That's what I do. And so eventually, bang, they actually materialized, and then there you go. They started doing their thing to me, which is crazy, like sucking the life out of it. Like, I don't even know. It's just, it's nuts. But it's like, no, shield or whatever. And so, like I said, I've been recalibrated recently, and I think it was just like, you know, that connection to the unified field that must have brought help somehow through source energy, or I mean, I just lit up like a supernova. It felt like I flared up like a sun or something, and it seems to me like I integrated. Oh, and then of course with my fears before that, how I was really afraid when this was happening. I was like, oh my god, what about everyone else in the house? And then of course it goes into everyone else, right? And so I think it inhabited that everyone else somehow and into me. And then I lit up like some kind of solar flare. Super, just felt like a sun energy. The grid coming. I don't know what if other people were helping somehow. I think maybe, or my higher self, or like I don't know exactly how that. But yeah, I felt myself charge up, and just I couldn't. I was trying to speak. I was trying to ward off, and my voice cut off. I couldn't speak anymore. I felt this coming on, and then it was great. I mean, that was a a very benevolent thing, and it was beautiful, and I think it absorbed that dark being somehow, with that being being the light, like I was being the light in a way, and that dark entity is gone now. They're gone. They're returned to source, and I also had to draw it out of everyone else that was in the house that got affected by it. So it did. The dark energy didn't just go all at once. It was in some of the other people, and I felt it and that's and yeah, and so it also went into them, and intuitively, and I just knew that was the case. And anyway, that was extremely extreme and intense. And I figured maybe that would help someone else. I don't know. Somehow, just have faith. Have faith that the light is so much like that. When I lit up, like just lit up, like I mean, just the light, just being the light, being being, you know, supernova light. Like there's no dark that can stand against that. So there's really nothing to be afraid of. Like if I can overcome that, then what is there to be afraid of? Like that is the pinnacle of what I think I could imagine as being something to be afraid of. I mean, yeah, there's still like other things, I guess, like darkness or whatever, the enemy and all that. And it's like, but I know that I don't have to be in fear, and that's, yeah. And I know, yeah. So I think if you're watching this still, it's because you've seen, or you've seen this kind of multi-dimensional dark entity being, and maybe it's come to you in dreams, or maybe it's telepathically connected to you, and maybe you've seen it like in physical reality. So I think my advice is to have faith, and reach out to trusted people or guides, whoever you know would guide you in the right direction in the circumstance, and you know who that would be. And I think it was ultimately, for me, it was like, I don't need to run from this. Like, it was my purpose to not run from this. It was my purpose to embrace it, because that's what I do, right? I turn the darkness into light. And so all that dark entity that I absorbed, I returned it to source. I felt myself returning it to source as light. Came out of me through my crown chakra out as light, returning into source. So if you're connected to the unified field, if you're recalibrated, don't fear. You can overcome anything. That's all. Oh yeah, there's something else. I have to think what something I wanted to... Oh, just accept yourself for who you are. Always. Always accept yourself for who you are. It's more important than anything. That's how you learn to love yourself. Before compassion, before anything. Accept yourself exactly how you are. And you can say, like, and then, like, the negative point of view would be like, oh, but I'm not good enough. Like, I want to be, like, better, like, in this way, or better in this way. That's okay. Accept yourself for who you are first, and then create your affirmations and say, I am getting better and better every day. Like, I accept myself fully for who I am, and I work on getting better and better every day, and that's perfectly fine. You have to accept yourself first. I don't know, I'm throwing that in there. To me, that's a very important thing, so maybe it is to you. Alright. Anyway, peace, love, bye.